Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Tim Hart, branch manager of Van Dyke Mortgage here in Fort Myers. Welcome to an episode of the Heartbeat Show podcast. Appreciate being with us today. Today, I got my cuz on here. What's up, cuz? Kevin,
What's up, cuz? How you doing?
we're already over talking each other. How you doing, man?
No, we're gonna wind up doing that. We're both talkers, so I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Just got off work.
Good, man. Good. Well, thanks for coming on, buddy. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Oh, thanks for
Uh,
having me. I'm actually pretty excited.
yeah, cool, man. It'll be fun. So, let me set it real quick for you, though, if you're listening out there. And, my cousin Kevin, younger than me and taller than me, but younger than me. But you went through some hard times, man, a few years ago back, a little further back than a few years, but um, talking, addiction, depression, things that, you were in a bad spot. And we're going to hear about it from you. But the reason why I thought it'd be really cool for you to come on, one is to share your testimonial to that, people can do it, they can overcome this, what you were going through. And because I see it, especially on social media, man, I see people struggling, and you hear about their son or their daughter, their mom or dad, friends struggling with pills or, any kind of addiction that's out there like that. And so, and I know you went through it, and I know you're pretty open about it. And so we're going to hear about you and also Teen Challenge, right? And what they've done for you as well,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah, for
So,
sure.
Kevin,
Well,
let's go ahead, buddy.
all right. I think it's important. I never I wasn't like raised an addict. I wasn't an addict for like I was just kind of a normal person. I went to church. I was really heavily involved with my church, and went and served there for many years, just and worked. And I call it my got married, was about ready to have a kid, and I call it my like bad country song. It was with over a 2-year period. My mom died, my dog died. I lost my family. My wife and I broke up, broken marriage, and during a time, I'm just trying to figure out how to cope with all that and just the emptiness of just being alone, and not knowing. I didn't have a lot of friends that went through a divorce. I mean, I was raised with no dad, and I promised myself I would never do that. Like I never wanted to be a divorce, and nobody goes in to a marriage wanting a divorce, but
Right.
that was something that was very important to me. Just figure it out, work, and then all of a sudden I find, all your hopes and dreams are kind of just shattered. And not having my wife and not having my daughter at home was absolutely broke me to my core. And the way I described it is, it's like, Tim, you have a wife and you have 3 kids, and I'm sure as soon as you walk in the door, there's a bustle of energy and everybody's talking and everybody's happy. And that's the way it was every day when I'd come home.
Mhm.
And then all of a sudden you come home and it's gone. And it hurt. It hurt a lot. And it was during this time that I knew, because you hear the stories of people that they drink too much, or they start going a little overboard once they start going through a divorce. And so I knew, I was like, oh, I don't want to party too hard. I don't want to do this. I got to pull myself together. Pull yourself up by the bootstraps, and maybe I just need to work more. So I started trying to work more. Maybe I need to do this or that. But coming home and just being alone, and I described it as coming and staring at a wall. As soon as my foot would hit the door, I would sit down and I would just stare at the TV, and I tried to watch TV, and I couldn't watch TV. It was nothing on, that would do anything. And so then I would try to play a video game. I'd play 5 minutes until finally where I would just shut everything off and just sit there and do nothing. Till finally I was like, well, if I'm not doing anything, I might as well drink. So then I would go to the gas station and pick up, a couple beers, sit down and start drinking, and I was able to get to sleep. And during this time, I started having, night terrors where I'd wake up in the middle of the night and just anxiety, I separation anxiety, and not knowing how to deal with that, and I think your mom kept on trying to get me, Aunt Claudia kept on trying to get me to talk to somebody. You need to go to see a psychiatrist, or just you need to talk to somebody. And my point was, well, I know what they're going to say. Why do I got to go? You know, and I just felt so alone. And so then I knew, I was like, well, if I only drank 3 days a week, then then it'd be okay. Cause it's only 3 days a week. So I would muscle through, every other day, muscle through. And then, not to get too much into it, but then something had happened where I knew for a shadow of a doubt we weren't getting back together. And that broke me. And at that time, it's like, well, this is pointless now. I wanted to
Because
die.
you were kind of like holding out hope that it was going to work
Yeah,
out.
yeah. I was holding out hope. I would try to, so let's go to counseling. Maybe it's just a weird phase, that marriages go through. So yeah, I was definitely trying to hold out hope. And so that just broke me. So then all of a sudden I would get home, depressed, go get beer, get home. And that started for a couple of weeks. Well, then all of a sudden, well, if I'm just gonna go home and then leave again to get beer, I might as well get the beer on the way home. And then it was, well, if I'm just gonna get the beer on the way home, I might as well drink one on my way home. And then it was, well, if I'm already, and this is over a period of time, I got to the point where I'd wake up and as soon as I wake up and start drinking. And
Even if you had to go to work.
even if I had to go to work. Yeah. Yeah. And knowing that it's like, this is not good. This is what you call a downward spiral. Like, this is it. And I'm watching it real time, not knowing what to do, not know how to get out of it. And scared, man, just scared and lonely and shameful. Cause like all of a sudden now I used to be this good Christian guy, the happy-go-lucky, ha ha ha, and all of a sudden now I'm drinking every day.
Right.
And it's like, who do I talk to at that point? All my friends, like, and I'm still trying to hold this facade. Like, some of my friends knew I was depressed, but they didn't know to the extent, because I would be around them and still try to force myself. But then as soon as I go home, it became my prison. And it just kept on. I kept on getting worse. I don't want to be a dead horse, but it was just really bad.
I got you.
I started becoming suicidal. And at the end of it all, I lost, even when my mom passed away, my sister and I inherited her house. And during that time, because I became such a wreck, I stopped paying the bills on it, and I lost my mom's house. And I just everything. And it ended up to the point where I was living in a 1-bedroom efficiency style trailer. And this is over a 2-year period of time, where I was paying $250 a week for, because it was like one of those pay weekly motel things. And just alone, man. And go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say. So like, what's so the point where you're at now? Like, how long did that take? How long that downward spiral? Like, from the point where you're like, hey, I'm just gonna go out and get a few beers, and then that just kept building and building and building till all of a sudden you're losing your house and living that.
It was over a 6-month period.
So dude, that's not that long.
No, it was about a 6 months to a year period. And
Okay.
it was relatively quick. At about a 6-month mark, I couldn't not drink. At the 6-month mark, I actually got kicked out of. I knew I was losing the house, and didn't have a car. And then about the year period of that's whenever I got kicked out of my mom's house. It was actually foreclosed on, and that's whenever I was staying. I would stay with a couple friends here and there, and I still have a little daughter at the time. She was 1 year old, and still trying to do that, and still trying to manage, an ex-wife now, and work. I'm still working at this time, and it just progressively. So then I went through a period of I mean, it's pretty much a binge already. But there was a good 6-month period towards the end there where I would wake up. They're called steel reserves. They're a high gravity alcohol. They're like 8% alcohol, and they're like a tall boy. I would drink 1 to 2 when I woke up on the way to work. And I get to work, and then I would go to around 8 o'clock. I get breakfast for the guys and at the gas station, and I'd pick up 4 more. And then I would drink 4 of those between 8 o'clock to 12 o'clock. At 12 o'clock, I go back, get another 4-pack. I drink 4 more of those between 12 and 4. And then on the way home, I would pick up a half gallon of vodka, and I would drink half of it. So a quarter of a gallon of vodka a night was my normal. And so that's not hanging out with anybody. That's not anything extra. It was about 10 beers, 10 high alcohol beers, and then a quarter gallon of vodka a day.
Damn, and that was daily?
That was daily. That was my normal. That was just every day. And during this time too, is because I still hung out with friends. I still played softball. I was still trying to do this facade as that I'm normal, that I would force myself to eat, you know? So I started gaining and ballooning weight too, because I didn't want anybody to know anything was wrong. Sometimes people would smell alcohol on me. Well, that's just from the night before, I would tell them.
Right.
You know, I would smoke cigarettes to kind of mask it, or chew gum. I started taking a bunch of Adderall during this time too. And that was great for me during that time, because then Adderall would wake me up. So like one eye would be closed from the alcohol and the other eye would be wide open, and I would, you know, and still suicidal. I remember I was driving to work every day, and here's my plan, because I had a plan. This was my reality. Is that, you know, the bridge on I-75, that goes between North Fort Myers and Fort Myers, the I-75 bridge there that goes over the water. I would drive to and from there, back and forth to work. And every morning I would think, well, is this the day? Is this the day I do it? Where I was gonna drive as fast as I can, and then just turn the wheel really quickly to try to drive myself off the bridge, so that it wouldn't look like a suicide. Because I didn't want my daughter to know I committed suicide. I didn't want her to, as she got older, to ask questions, you know. And that was every day. I stopped taking showers. I stopped brushing my teeth. I would go weeks without taking showers. I'd go weeks without brushing my teeth. And, you know, there were certain days where I wouldn't have power in the house because I just wouldn't pay it. And it was bad, you know. So that progressed. I started noticing my body started acting funny. You know, I would wake up in the middle of the night with chest pains. I started noticing also, like in pictures, my skin started turning red. If you look at any of my older pictures, they're during that time. And I started just feeling hot all the time. Well, yeah, my body was shutting down. I was drinking a lot. And it was during the hurricane, during this
Irma?
Yeah, Irma. During Irma. I had already gone through like a 1.5, 2-year binge here, but I really hit it hard during that time and drinking a lot. And that entire time is fuzzy to me. And I woke up. I never forget, I was about ready to get fired. I was about ready to. I hadn't gotten fired yet because I was hiding it, but they could tell I had lost a huge account. And I woke up my first day back to work after the hurricane, and I looked down at my daughter, and she had the worst diaper rash she had ever had. And I realized it was my fault. You know, I had passed out the night before, and she had poopy diapers, and she was asleep, but she had poopy diapers. And I realized, and that moment of clarity, you know, they always say like a rock bottom moment. It's a moment of clarity of, what the heck am I doing? I'm looking around going, oh no, I got to do something now. And it has to be drastic, and I can't go back to this. And so I called up my boss, and I'm crying. I'm remember he's we're electricians, so day work back to her after the hurricane. You need electricians, you need
Right.
construction. And I call him up and I'm crying. He goes, dude, what's going on? And I said, I need you to fire me. You need to fire me. I'm an alcoholic. I'm going to go into a program. I don't want a go back plan. He goes, no, let's talk about this. I'm like, no, you need to fire me. Hey, I'm drinking on the job. Fire me for that. There it is. I can't come back. So I got off the phone with him and I called my old pastor, Pastor Lambraco. I love her so much. And she's helped me out more. She's amazing. I called her up and I hadn't talked to her in years. And I says, listen, I need you to get me into Teen Challenge. I knew about Teen Challenge because of my time in the church. And I told her a little bit. So she started blowing their phone up. And at this point now, I'm like telling everybody, listen, this is where I'm at. I called your mom. I was like, listen, this is where I'm at. This is what I'm doing, to try to tell everybody so that I couldn't go back. And then, so they all suggested I go into detox, which if anybody that's listening and you're trying to get off alcohol, that's the best decision you can do, is go to detox. Benzos and alcohol are the one of only two drugs that can kill you from stopping usage. Heroin hurts a lot. Crystal meth will make you crazy and you'll see things, but alcohol and benzos, those are the ones that'll kill you. And thank God I went in there. I went in, and at that time I weighed 290 pounds.
You were up to 290?
I was at 290. Yeah.
Holy cow. What are you at now?
Right now I am at 220.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my normal weight, 220. But yeah, so and I had to go through the tremors. And I remember I made a decision. I was like, I'm not drinking anymore, because there was a waiting list for the detox because of the hurricane. Everybody was trying to get in, apparently. Apparently it's a big detox day after the hurricane. Makes
People
sense.
drink a lot, man, during that time. Is the detox part of Teen Challenge?
No. So there's two detoxes in the area. One is Salis Care. That's the one I went to. It's in Fort Myers, and I forget where the other one is, but Salis Care is great. They don't charge you anything. They ask for $100, but if you don't have it, you can just go, and they'll get you off the safe way. And went in there. I'm having the tremors, and I remember before I went in, because I was on a waiting list, I was scared. I was scared of having a seizure, or because I was shaking. I'm like, oh, this sucks. What the heck? This is the first time now I've stopped trying to drink in 2 years. And it was weird to me that I was like, oh no, what is going on? And so I went to the store. I got some more beer, and I'm sitting on my couch.
This is waiting to go to detox.
Waiting to go to detox.
Okay.
I'm sitting on my couch, and I'm looking at this beer going, I don't want to drink you. And it was such a weird moment because I was scared. I was like, I probably need to, but I didn't want to screw up my clarity that I was kind of,
Yeah.
And so I'm sitting there looking at it, and all of a sudden the phone rang. It was detox. Hey, we can have you in 3 hours. I was like, I'm coming now. And I just threw a bunch of clothes in a bag. Didn't even look at the clothes. Just threw them in there. And then went and waited in the waiting room just in case anything happens. There was medical people there. Detox was sucked. I was going to say it was great. It's not great. It sucks.
Detox is a good time.
Yeah. I met some great people in there, people that were trying to get their lives, right. But, they're serial detox people that they go out just to get some sobriety, and then they go out, use again, and come back. And that's when my emotions really started playing with me. Because remember, I started drinking because of depression. And then I kind of masked it. And so then all of a sudden I'm sober, and the heavy cloud of emotion over the past 2 years started hitting me all at once, man. And I was all over the place, up, down, left, right. Alcohol, it affects your emotions. So you come off it, all of a sudden, feelings, Right. And so I remember one of the moments I had in detox, because I was there for 4 days, is I went into my room, and the way the rooms were set up is they have 4 beds per room, and then there's a shower in the room. In order to get hot water in the shower, you got to turn a sink on, and then you got to push a button, and then hot water will come out for 30 seconds, and then you got to push it every 30 seconds, right? Like jail. And so I'm sitting there on my bed with a book in my hand, but I'm bawling. There's nobody in the room, and I'm just crying, and sitting cross-legged and just crying, man. Like, what the heck? Where am I at? I was a church-going guy. I shouldn't. What the heck? This is my life right now. And this old man walks in. He's in detox too, so he gets it. And I went, oh my God. And I pick up the book, and I'm starting to wipe my tears. And I'm like, I'm sorry. And he goes, no, dude, you're cool. I get it. I'm like, no. So I went in the bathroom, and I turned the sink on, and I put the shower on, and I started just, and then all of a sudden the shower would stop, and so I push it again, and then, such a miserable state, man.
I'm always smiling. I feel bad, dude. I'm sitting here like, you're my cousin. Like you're laughing, so I'm kind of laughing with you. So don't think I'm like.
No, not at all. I'm telling it in a funny way.
Okay.
But
I picture you as Will Ferrell in Anchorman. I'm a glass cage of emotion. Remember that?
Yeah, that's exactly the way it was. It was just all
Milk
over.
was a bad idea.
and that's the one things I've learned just through life is you got to find your humor. Like I was listening to your last podcast, the Smile Guy, the Science of Smile.
Oh yeah, he was good.
Yeah, so you got to force yourself to smile.
Yeah.
And that's good advice, man. But
so let's get back to the detox. So you end up getting out of there?
Yeah. So in there, I knew I was going to Teen Challenge. I was just waiting for a bed there. And, it's funny because you tell people in detox that you're going to Teen Challenge because there's a lot of wonderful programs that you can get into that I learned about while I was in detox. But they're all scared of Teen Challenge because Teen Challenge is like the hardcore one. That's the one you want to go to if you really want to change. It's hard. But it also has a 75% success rate if you complete it, which is head and shoulders above anywhere else.
You mean if you complete it, like they're like, hey, Kevin, you're good to go. You have a 75% chance of staying sober?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. They have which is like astronomical in the whole scheme of addiction because most of them are like 5%. It's not good.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because there's a lot of relapses.
Yeah.
And which relapse is a part of it too. If anybody that's listening and you messed up, dude, you messed up. Start doing it again.
Well, I remember being at your graduation thing when when you, is that what it's called, graduation?
Yeah, graduation. Yeah.
And there was like 2 other people there that had graduated like another time. I think if I remember correctly. There was at least one that I know had went through another time and was back for it again.
Yeah, it's called resto. So like if you go through the program and you do mess up and just something happens, then they'll actually take you back if you want. It's restoration. And then you stay for a little bit and then they can send you on your way or help you out again. So
what makes, so can we get into Teen Challenge now?
Yeah.
Or do you, because dude, you, first off, man, hats off to you, because you spilled your guts out here for everyone to see and listen. Anyone that's listening to it's going to know what you went through, and I think it's going to have an impact on somebody. And I know in your heart that's kind of what that's why you wanted to do this. That's why you're okay with doing this, right? Is you want to see that impact somebody, right?
Well, it's hard, man, because like I'm on a lot of single dad pages on Facebook, and you see stuff in the news all the time about this dad did this or this mom did this, and it's hard, man. Divorce sucks, and it's hard. Addiction sucks. Life just sucks sometimes, but it's in those moments, what do we do with it? And I haven't always made the right decisions, but if anybody can learn or even get some kind of hope, from this, it gets better. It gets so much better. And but you got to go through the process.
Yeah.
It's one of the things I used to say when I first started going to Teen Challenge is you got to keep your body where your neck is, or you got to keep your body where your head is. Basically, you can't, well, what if this, what if that? Well, you're thinking too much in the future, or what happened then, what happened? You're thinking too much in the past. You got to stay right now. And right now, if you're staying sober, right now, if you're doing good, you're doing good. Who cares what happened 5 minutes ago? You're doing good right now. And
Well,
yeah, go ahead.
I was saying, let's get into your teen challenge thing though. How long were you in there for?
I was a year. I was in,
It's a year-long commitment, right? When you go in there?
yeah, it's a year-long program. And well, they call it a life. Oh, see, they're gonna kill me for not. It's a discipleship program, and yeah, but it's a year long, and I describe Teen Challenge. It's one of the most amazing places I've ever been to, because I can just picture it's like the worst summer camp you've ever been to, with a bunch of ex-drug addicts and alcoholics that are all getting their life straight and trying to follow after God. It's the craziest dynamic. So you'll have guys that will come in strung out and still detoxing off meth. So they're seeing things. They're, and meth's one of the weirdest things to come off of. If you're on meth, get off it. It gets better. I don't know what your
Words to live
demographic is.
by Kevin. If you're on meth, get off of it.
Yeah, it's going to set me the quote. And, you have that, but then you also have the guys like me. I'm coming off alcohol. I am freaking out. It was about 3 months of my emotions going all over the place. And it's during that time that it would have been really easy for me to leave and go drink, because you could leave. You don't have to stay. The doors are unlocked. And
Yeah, like you can leave anytime you want, right?
yeah, it's voluntary. So they do have some court orders, but yeah, I was voluntary. The reason why sometimes they do court orders is because their reputation is so good and they have such a high success rate. Sometimes if people have drug charges, they'll get sent to Teen Challenge to deter prison time, and they'll actually it's a pretty cool process. I know a couple guys like that. So during that that time, that whole weird 3 month phase, I got another funny story. We have chores in the morning, and everybody has a chore. You wake up at 6 o'clock and you have chore at 7. You got to be in the chapel at 7:20. And my chore, I had to clean the windows or clean the mirrors. And we all have these closet areas that have to be checked. So the people that are in charge of that room during that time are allowed to go in and check your belongings, make sure you don't have any contraband, make sure it's clean. It's very rigid. It's almost like a military style thing. And one of the guys is like, well, we're going to do checks one of these days. That's why you never want to have stuff. I'm like, no, don't check my room. I don't have anything. I wasn't keeping anything, but I was so anxious and anxiety about everything. I was like, you're not checking my stuff without telling me. They're like, well, you don't, that's what we have to do. We have to check. Nope, you're not touching my stuff. Don't touch my stuff. Listen, Kevin, and the nicest guy. He's one of my best friends now. His name's Christian. Amazing person. But he's like, Kevin, I got to check your, don't touch my stuff. And I jump up real quick. This is 6:30 in the morning. Like people
And
are just waking.
You don't have anything anyways, right?
Yeah, I have stuff they gave me. It's their clothes they gave me. And don't touch my stuff. And I jump up and I slam the door out of there and I go into the chapel area. And I'm full-blown anxiety attack. And I know it's me. It's nobody else but me. And I get on my knees and I'm just shaking. I'm going, oh no. And then I remembered I have a chore I have to do, or I'm going to get in trouble. I'm going to write an essay or something. So that I run back inside and I'm full-blown anxiety attack trying to clean a mirror. And one of the guys came in, and that's the coolest thing about Teen Challenge, man. It's a brotherhood. He came in and he hugged me. He's like, you'll get through this, man. It's all right. Like, you got to picture this. It's one of the coolest. He hugged me, man. And this is like a gangbanger, like back in the day. He's like, you get through this, man. It's okay. And I did. I did
Yeah.
get through it. You know.
And you, so let's, cause we're getting a little, you got a good story there, man. And we want to make sure we give the love to Teen Challenge, and to you. So I would like, if you don't mind, what advice would you give someone out there that's watching it that has a family? Because I think the hardest thing is not someone that's an addict watching you. Right now, I think a lot of, correct me if I'm wrong, but a lot of it's probably the stress on the family or the spouse or the kids. Would you agree? Like where they're like, hey, I know my whoever is an addict, and what advice would you give them?
Pray. The only advice, pray and leave them alone. I know it sounds harsh. It's, your mom, Aunt Claudia, had tried to help me out a lot in the beginning,
Yeah.
and it really broke her heart. And the best thing, and I remember she would come to the house, and I had broken the front door, so it didn't have a lock. And I'm at work. I hadn't talked to her in months. So she knocks on the door, and the door just kind of slides open, and the place is trashed. And she called me, Kevin, what's going on? And it broke her heart. But then she had to draw a line. And my sister had to draw a line. And everybody had to draw a line to leave me alone, to the point where I had to come to myself, become clarity. And that's the hardest part is the parents, they want to love, I'm going to love my kid to sobriety. You can't. You can't. Sometimes when you love something so much, you're actually keeping them there. You're becoming a parachute for them every time they fall, or a pillow every time they fall, helping them to get back up, and you're helping them too much. I was always babied as a kid, so I'm always used to, and I'm just so used to that all of a sudden, when you don't have anybody and you realize where you're at, it's like, oh no, I need to figure this out. One of the things they told us in detox, which always stuck with me, is I said, well, why do you want to get sober? I need to get sober for my daughter, I said. And the guy stopped me and he goes, well, you'll never stay sober. I was like, what do you mean? He says, well, did you drink around your daughter? Well, yeah. Did she ever stop you before? No. You have to get sober for yourself. And the same, flip that with the parents and the family members. They have to get sober themselves. Now, flip side is once they start doing better and you see them do better, forgiveness is huge. And I've walked.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah. I've seen, firsthand and you got to walk through that. But then also you can't, love them and you can't open your arms wide, because you still have to be guarded too. You got to set boundaries and respect your own boundaries. Because if you don't, then all of a sudden, it's a ploy or it's fake. You gotta look for some reality, because the problem with addiction is you start lying to yourself. And that's the one thing that's always concerned me, even now. I've been sober 2.5 years. Is even now I'm always concerned, am I lying to myself? Did I actually do good today? Okay, so let me, and because what can happen is sometimes through addiction or just anybody, you start lying to yourself, and I can have one more drink. I'm okay now. I can do this one time. I can go do this. I can hang out with that old friend. I can go to that old bar or old restaurant even. You can't. Don't lie to yourself.
Mm. Dude, that's but what wild advice though, and I know or I know you're right on it because you know so much more about it than I do. But like, man, the letting go, like just you love your kid, but they got to hit rock bottom. Whoosh, man, that's hard to swallow, man, as a parent.
It is. It is really hard, and
I'm not saying you're wrong. I know you're right on it. It's just got to be. Pray to God we never go through any of that. But like, got to be so hard, man.
And I have a little 4-year-old. I couldn't imagine, being in some of the parent shoes.
Right.
But from speaking to the way Teen Challenge is set up, it's a lot of God-based conversations,
Mm-hmm.
where basically you're just having conversations about everything. That's the one prevailing thing every single person always said is, you actually help them into it, and, well, I don't want them to die on the street. Well, then if you got to stop, and it is
So
hard.
what if someone, and we got to get this wrapped up here, but what if someone's watching this right now and they are just your story you're telling, they're living it now, and they realize they need to make a change, right? So like they're having your moment of clarity. So like, what do you tell, excuse me, what do you tell that person? Like
Well,
what's their next step, man? What do they need to do?
tell a sober friend, tell a sober friend, tell a sober family member your state. This is where I'm at. And because what happens then is that you're ruining a lie. What's a lie? It's something that's in the dark. As soon as you expose light to the darkness, it no longer becomes darkness, it's light. So you got to expose it. Listen, I'm an alcoholic. I, you know, I, I've been taking too much heroin. I'm a heroin addict. You know, it's tell people, and it's okay. And there's a lot of fear in that. Number two is go to a detox. I can't express to you enough how good a detox is. It's gonna suck, but it's good. Sometimes people want to
You mean
wean
how
themselves.
how well it works?
Yes, yeah,
Right. You're
because
setting these
it's
guys up like they're going to Disney World or something. No.
it's because what happens is people try to wean themselves off, and
Yeah.
I'm just gonna drink a little bit less.
Yeah.
It won't work. You're still drinking, and then it's gonna go for about a week, and then all of a sudden you're gonna kick back up again. You know, go to a detox, and
Yeah.
whether it's suicide, addiction, there's so many good programs in this area that if you go to anywhere in Lee Memorial Health System or any hospital and you tell them, hey, I'm a drug addict trying to get off drugs, or I'm suicidal, I'm contemplating suicide, they'll help you out. They'll bring you in the hospital, they'll give you a room for a couple of days, they'll evaluate you, and they'll send you to the certain programs for free, which I think is cool and not many people know. There is a way out.
Yeah.
And that's another thing. There's a way out. You're going to feel like you're in prison. And if you feel like you're in prison, dude, I get it. I was there. It sucks. But there's a way out, and there's freedom. Yeah, I've been sober now 2.5 years, and it's like night and day. I, I'm in a
Good for you.
beautiful, thank you. I'm in a beautiful 2-bedroom, 2-bath townhouse, and I got my job back, thank God. And I've continued to build trust there now, to where, they gave me a work van that I can drive home, and there's so much more trust. And then there's appreciation there. I can tell from anybody that used to know me, because you got a story now, and people love a comeback story. And it's,
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
know,
dude. So, hey, man, hats off to you, Kevin. I think the world of you, buddy, and cousin. I love you, man. Glad to see, and have been super proud of you, dude, for everything you've been doing. You're killing it as a dad out there, man. I see you, and good to see you face to face on holidays, being a dad, right? And
yeah.
so keep it up, bro. I'm gonna put the teen challenge stuff. Oh,
Oh,
you got something? Go
no,
ahead.
that was it. I was going to tell the phone number, but if you're going to put it up, then.
Oh, go ahead and say it in case someone's listening on the audio. Go ahead.
Yeah. So the men's center for a teen challenge is 239-275-1974. And that's actually the women's center too. And teen challenge is actually in Pine Manor, which is a funny place for it to be, but it works wonders. So, it's in 5646 7th Avenue. So even if you go there and fill out the paperwork, they can take you into. So.
Yeah, and I'll put their phone number and contact stuff into the post as well. So Kevin, bro, appreciate you, man. I thank you. I hope this has some impact on some people out there for you, and I wish you nothing but continued success, dude.
Thanks a lot.
All right, man. Anything else? You good?
Yeah, we're good.
All right, brother. Thanks, Kevin.
Have a great day.
You too, man. See you.